Hi, and welcome to everyone coming in. I'm Kristy Jo, and I love the body. I'm probably one of those people in heaven when I heard we get to get a body that I'm like, yes, I get one. But we're gonna get that one, but then I got that one. I was like, no, you're gonna find out why. If I can find out. What button is it?
The right one.
The right one. Choose the right.
That one. If you point towards the computer instead of the projector.
See, they put me first so I can look the full and I'm okay with it. Aha, there's an on switch. Oh. Yay.
There you
go. Okay. Does anybody know the phrase Wabi Sabi? It's kind of out there. It's actually derived from Buddhism. I lived in South Korea for a total of 2 years, and at 2 separate times of my life. So a lot of Buddhist things are kind of important to me, or at least have made an impact in my life. Wabi Sabi basically means imperfectly perfect, and such a contrast, right? So we're going to understand why this is, and the biggest thing I'm going to ask of each of you during my presentation as well as these other speakers is that you open your mind to ask questions that pertain to you, and you ask yourself, what am I supposed to take from this? I believe in action. I don't believe in taking notes to take notes. I think it's a waste of space on your bookshelf. But write those things down. If you have those little aha moments that are like, oh, wow, that would be something great to write down, something that you're going to leave here, because this is a night of transformation. And so that's what I would ask of you tonight. The impossible bar of perfection. We live in a weird society. Who agrees with me? It's weird, it's bogus, it's a little bit screwed up. So for me, I was someone that looked at women and I kind of thought I had a certain look I wanted to achieve. And I have a crooked spine. I have it varies depending on the year and the x-ray, somewhere between 40 and 50 degree scoliosis. If I stood how I'm supposed to, how my body tells me to stand, I will show you. This is how my spine is. But I've trained myself to stand upright and no one knows the difference. It's pretty cool. But I, as a very young girl, as young as 9 years old, started to be aware of the women around me and in the magazines and on the TV. Nobody ever said anything to me about the way my body was, and I need you to know, and I'm going to show you pictures in a minute, I was very healthy and normal. But I was very much aware, someone needs to move that to the back. I was very much aware of my body shape, and even found myself pinching my fat, when I was alone, 9 years old, 9. My genetic proportions, because of my back, were off. I have a hip that sits higher. I have legs that encompass my whole body and 0 torso. My ribs literally sit on my hip bones. It's really annoying. I have scoliosis. And because of my growing awareness of my body and wanting to look like these women, I started to develop some disordered eating habits. Now, it doesn't just jump into binging. It doesn't just jump into starving yourself or going to the gym for 3 hours to punish yourself for overeating in the middle of the night when no one can see you. But it does start little by little, and then with the growing mindset, it got to a very bad place. So magazines, friends, movies and TV, these were things that impacted me. Again, I need it to be very clear, no one said anything to me. There was not one person who ever said anything that made me aware of my body. It was simply society, being aware. So I started at 9 years old. I had to bend you back from the beginning, right? Where's my other pictures? So I was actually skinny in high school, but I already thought that I was not skinny, and it stuck with me. And I'm a dancer. I started dancing at the age of 12. That sure doesn't help to stand in a leotard and tights in front of the mirror for 8 hours a day. Probably fix that and that and that. And it just continued. And I felt I was alone. And maybe at least one of you in this room can totally relate to what I felt. But here's the facts. 91% of women are unhappy with their bodies and resort to dieting to achieve their ideal body shape. 5% of women actually possess the traits to look like those women in the magazines that are plastered all over billboards and social media now these days. 25% of women will suffer from a partial or full-on eating disorder. And I prefer the phrase disordered eating because eating disorder, we kind of think it's so extreme, where disordered eating is anything that's kind of here and there, where we're driven by our mindset. And only 10% of people suffering from an eating disorder will seek professional help. I sure didn't. I didn't think I had an eating disorder. So going back, so I had two things working against me. I had my spine, and then I had this disordered eating, and the mindset that I was just never good enough, never good enough. And it really encompassed my life for a very long time. It was a very private life. Nobody knew how bad it was. So that's my spine. I think, what year is that? 2013. So I could do some pretty cool things with my back. Again, I love dance. That was my life. I performed, I competed, I've coached, I've judged, I danced. Dance was my life. And I was accepted to the master's program of dance at the University of Utah after I graduated with a bachelor's in English, which is unheard of, to be accepted into a master's program without the dance undergrad. And I was elated. And by that point, enough pain had set in from doing crazy things like this that I knew it was not wise to continue forward. And I was a little bit resentful, and I was a lot angry and sad that I had been given this talent and would never see it come to fruition to the point that I thought it would. And that was rough. So dance stopped, but the disordered eating thoughts and habits continued and got worse. Until I was 25 years old, and I was at the darkest point of my life. And it was then that I was driving down the freeway one day. I'd moved to Salt Lake. I'd lived here about 6 months, felt more alone than ever, felt I was burdened and hammered by this binge eating that I could never break. And just so you understand how bad it had got, this was a typical way that I functioned. Diet for 6 to 10 days, anywhere from 1,000 to 1,300 calories. I didn't understand anything other than calories, and my brain was just so focused on calories. I carry sticky notes, and I had to burn off certain amounts. First thing in the morning, wake up, calories. Last thing of the day, do I have anything left? Do I get to love myself or hate myself, depending on if I kept myself in that range or not? My life was run by food. And it was on this day, March 17th, 2012. Some of you in the room have heard my story enough times. It's a very important date in my life. And I was just driving down the freeway, and I heard a voice, and it said, "You are the master of yourself." And I thought I was crazy. And I looked in the rearview mirror. I'm like, okay, now you've really got it bad. And it came again. You are the master of yourself. And it was like clarity just hit me. And I knew it was time to take control. And I knew that my life depended on it. I had no other choice. And so I went about making change in my life. Transformation, some people would say. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute. I don't believe transformation is even real. Transformation is a word we use to describe reflecting back on change. We change one little thing at a time. And that first thing I did was drive straight home and take all the crap in my fridge and my pantry and chucked it. I chucked it and said, no more. I'm going to be the master of myself, and it begins now. So I knew it was time to take control. It was not overnight. And it was truly changing the way I thought about myself. And I'm going to share some of those little tidbits in just a moment. No more binging. I'm going to follow the plan no matter how many tears. The first time I deprived myself of going to a binge, which I would typically sit in a grocery store parking lot with about $40 worth of garbage that I just bought to celebrate my 8 days of dieting. and crammed it down my throat, past the point of pain, past the point of tears. I was trying to feed a black hole that was not about food. And then I'd go to the gym because I was terrified of becoming overweight, and so I would go exercise for 3 hours. I'd ditch class, I'd ditch work. This literally ran my life. So I realized my efforts before had been too extreme. It was time to start adapting in a new way. And really all it came down to was simply the scientific method. Formulate a hypothesis, go test it out, formulate a conclusion, and then keep going, keep going. And it was literally line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, some of you know what I'm talking about, that I learned and I began to change. Now, doing what I do, and I run a lifestyle change transformation company, 3 years now that I've been doing this. Through coaching others, I took my own triumphs and said, I refuse to let anybody else go through the dark who will extend their hand and say, help me. And that's been my goal. So that was me in high school. They called me the garbage disposal. Why? Because I was on the drill team. And we'd go out to eat. And that was almost like my little free zone. So after everyone had eaten, I would go clean off everyone's plates. And then I'd go throw up after. This is me after I published my first recipe book, 2012. On my mission in South Korea, I gained 30 pounds. I have stretch marks on my inner thighs, 3 on both sides. I call them my warrior wounds. They represent to me change. They represent adaptation, and I love them. And I would say to any of you in this room who have any of those birthmarks or stretch marks or any sign of imperfection, we're going to get to a point where you embrace those and you say, this is part of me and I love it. And you find the reason why you love it. So yeah, I look at these pictures and that's just, my cheeks didn't usually look like that. This photo really to you may not appear different, but this is a completely different person inside. Completely different person. So from 2012 to 2015, I've learned to become the master of myself. Now competing, I coached over 1,000 people. I train a natural bodybuilding team who's very successful. And I'm living the dream that I didn't know was my dream. I just run through the doors as they open for me. Transformation is not magical. Here's where I want you to really think about your life. It happens with everyday decisions, little by little. And this is why actually my company slogan is one meal, one workout, one day at a time. That's all we have. You know, one of the biggest problems I had was looking at an 8-week sequence and saying, okay, by the end of 8, I'll be happy. No, right now. Right now, I will be happy, and right now, I can control myself. I don't even care about tomorrow. Right now, I have the control and the personal power to decide who I am, to decide to hit this workout, to decide that I'm stronger than these donuts staring me in the face, to decide to fuel my body rather than sabotage my body. These are the small things that when we really think about them, they are what change us. And how often do we procrastinate those? I think we're all guilty of it, right? I'm gonna start tomorrow, I'm gonna start Monday, oh boy. I tell my new clients, I say, no last suppers. From the day we talk, you're done. You are done. Change in thoughts. Here's a few things that really helped me reprogram my mind. The elimination of good and bad food. And now I call them strategic or non-strategic foods. I will argue to the death that a deep-fried Twinkie is good, that churros are good. We put these labels on foods and we all of a sudden what we do mentally is we make them forbidden, and guess what? Forbidden fruit is good, right? So we stop it and we simply use a different phrase and we start accepting the fact that all food is going to be for our good. But let's be strategic. How do you define strategic? If you have a goal. Is my goal fat loss? Is my goal health? Is my goal energy? Is my goal to lower my cholesterol? Is my goal to lose weight? Is my goal to gain weight? You've got to have a goal. And at the very minimum, I'm hoping each of you in this room can walk out of here tonight saying, my goal is to feel good and be happy. And I will tell you what, you will have a better chance of that when your biochemistry is balanced. Whoa, this is like really happy. Okay. Replacing the word cheat with indulge. So I call cheat meals indulgence meals. One is far more positive than the other, right? And so I could go into each one of these for about 30 minutes, which is why I have a podcast. So I'm just going to touch on these briefly. Become a comma butter. What on earth is that? So how many times have you woke up in the morning and you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, it's a fat day. Oh. All of a sudden your day just started out down in the dumps. And you can't tell me that that negativity doesn't carry with you into other parts of your life. So whether you don't feel good walking out the door, or maybe it's not even about your body, but when you say, I am blank, and you fill it in. I was talking to a client today, all afternoon, I was on back-to-back calls. One of my clients, we were going through this, and I said, what word comes to your mind on a regular basis? She said, I am disgusting. And I said, that's lovely. Why are you disgusting? Because I am. No, you're not. And I said, your name is blank. I said, say I am your name. And she's like, I am, so I'll say it for me. I am Kristy Jo. I am not anything else, but I'm Kristy Jo, and each of you are your name. It's okay to feel a certain way. And then we go, comma, but. Then we need to go into a positive thing, but I'm doing something about it. So for instance, if I woke up and felt a little, I prefer the word fluffy over fast, some of you know that. It's just better. It's just so much better. I feel a little fluffy today, not as tight, not as lean. But today I'm gonna make an extra effort to eat vegetables with every meal. Boom, take away the negativity, reframe it. So if you want to learn more about these topics, I do have a blog and a podcast that got cut off. Last but not least, if you have a particular weakness, with me, binge eating will always be a weakness. You don't overcome things, and I don't say that to necessarily scare you or anything, but you get very good at tiptoeing around your triggers. I know my triggers: fatigue, stress, loneliness. These are pretty common for most people because then we turn to cope with food. So we trace it back, we start paying attention to our thoughts, and we start realizing that if we will just calm about it, we avoid the emotion, which leads to the behavior. And we save ourselves a whole lot of grief. So when I very first started this in 2012, I started a blog, and I was terrified to write this blog because I was admitting to the world that I wasn't perfect. And I pulled a pretty good facade my whole life of showing the Kristy I wanted the world to see. We all do it, and it's so easy in this day and age. You slap a beautiful picture up and you're like, that don't look like that in real life. But I was going to expose the reality, and especially with all the people I went to high school with, even my family, as they found out about how bad it was, how much I had hated myself my whole life. I never knew what self-love was. I was never satisfied. It didn't matter I graduated in the top 5 of my class, senior ball queen. It didn't matter how many schools I was accepted to. Every achievement was empty because I was trying to fill this self-hate that never would have been filled until I could overcome this. So a few of the things I wish I would have known in my efforts to change my body, because you need to understand, I am all in favor of changing the body. Obviously, I'm speaking about it. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutritionist, and I know some deep strategies about how to change the body. But the fact is, if we don't take our mind with it, there's no point. Must be all 3 of those together. But when it comes to doing it the right way, there certainly is better, more strategic ways to change your body using science. And it's beautiful because I went about it all the wrong ways and sabotaged myself. If I would have been taught how to do it right from the beginning, I wonder how different my life would have been. I wonder if I would have got to those goals and never had to experience the deep loneliness and heartache and the darkness that I did. So just a few of these topics I'm going to touch on so briefly. Fruit juice, I drank it like mad, too high in sugar. Definition of being good enough, I didn't realize that that should be based on what I was doing rather than the number on the scale. I had to always bring it back. Now, I ask my clients, I say, I don't even care if you gained weight. Is your compliance on point? Are you prepping your meals? Are you thinking? Are you planning? That is what we can change. We can't control results. I mean, to some extent, let's make sure the plan's in place, right? But let's focus more on behavior and those results will come. Quality sources of protein every 2.5 to 3 hours. I kind of knew that, but yet I was a poor college student. I was eating those the 79-cent little deli meats. I wouldn't say it's a quality protein. And of course, it's hard when you're on a budget, but getting good protein in your body every 2.5 to 3 hours is a must. If you're serious about changing your body, you've got to make it happen. Overtraining, spending too much time in the gym, no more than 60 minutes of cardio a day, max. And I sat there because remember, it was all about the caloric burn. No, exercise science is powerful when you start opening your mind to realize the way you've fueled your body, the timing, the post-workout meal strategize for you and your body, whether you need carbs or fats. And that's the thing, is there's no magic formula. Everyone in here is slightly different. Or else I'd love to give it to you and come talk to me after. But learn your strategy. I was so afraid to eat after workouts. I just worked to burn off 500 calories. Are you kidding? You're telling me to eat? One trainer I worked with told me to go drink chocolate milk. Are you prepped? Do you know how many calories are in that? Now I know differently. Now, I'm not saying go drink chocolate milk, but I wish I would have been taught the why. Weight loss is not a straight line event. The body has hiccups. If you are striving to lose weight, do not expect to see it just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Typically, and I've worked with enough people, I will tell you, point blank, it goes da-da, ha, da-da, ha, da-da, ha, assuming your compliance is on point. So be open to it. Do not, again, it comes back to, do not let the results determine your happiness. Focus on behavior, the results will come. Be consistent, that's key. Calories in the body don't, it got cut off because it's a math. Calories in the body don't, I'm assuming it says, it's not a food budget. It's not a bank account mentality. How many of us think, we have a particular number to hit, and if we go over that, we're gaining weight. If we go under that, we're losing weight. Then why wasn't I losing weight at 1,200 calories a day? Someone answer me that. Metabolism and your blood sugar. The blood sugar environment is the key, which comes back to protein, balanced meals, structure, more than just adding up those calories. 100-calorie snack packs at night, not a good idea. You're turning on your sugar cravings. Better to see you do some protein, some fats, some vegetables, raw nuts, nut butter. Try and stay away from those carbs at night. They elicit this hunger mechanism in you from blood sugar. Veggies with every meal rather than a lot in 1 to 2 meals. Spread it throughout the day. Kicking out the carbs in the last 1/3 of the day. The power of I am, we've kind of gone over that. So minimal eating plus over-exercising equals burnout and metabolic damage. That's where we can't make change in the body, and that requires some repair and some consistency. I would say 60 to 70% of the people that I see in my programs have metabolic damage due to years of yo-yo dieting. It's not uncommon. And so if any of you are frustrated with your body right now because you have been making efforts, number 1, let's talk. Number 2, you've got to remember you can't expect 3, 5, 7 days to change. Choose an intensity you can maintain. If you can't answer the question of, can I see myself doing this in 3 months, 6 months, a year, your intensity is too high. You've got to scale it back because you've got to be consistent with it. Analytical evidence of indulgence carbs. I thought that any types of carbs wouldn't hurt me, but here's the thing. How many of us think, oh, I already screwed up, so I'm just gonna go eat the rest of the pie or the cake or the brownies? You gotta fix that, because that's what's damaging you the most. Because when your blood sugar is raised, you're in storage environment. And so any additional food you put in, packed right away, come right in, we'll store you, we got a place right here, and right here, and right here. And so being aware that it's the mindset, you just gotta say, enough, I'm done, I can do it, I can stop. Running long distance races for weight loss was an awful idea. I got into marathon running. I've run so many races in my life. I thought that was the key to my weight loss. No, exercise science. If you're serious about changing your body, we need to have you doing intervals. We need very strategic timing of your food with steady state cardio. Fasted cardio in the morning, that's kind of a debated topic. It's neither here nor there. You can be effective with both. So again, if you have questions on any of these specifics, I would love to chat with you and answer your questions. My current state, returning to the Wabi Sabi, is imperfectly perfect. So last Saturday was kind of cool. Thanks, Jeremy, for bringing that up. I've competed in 11 competitions, and I've taken a lot of second places. And I kind of convinced myself I'd never be good enough for first, and I was okay with that. And first, it's relative too, to who shows up, right? Let's be careful of that. But accepting that I was always bringing my best to the stage. I have a crooked spine. I can't control that, but I can control the rest of my body. So we learn to accept imperfection. If any of you have things that are imperfect, embrace it, accept it, but that's not to condone complacency. Okay, so Wabi Sabi is used in modeling, design, architecture. That's why I chose this picture. It's not symmetrical. So we try to find things. Funny fact about my face is that because of my scoliosis, I have one side of my face that's slightly paralyzed. I've had to train myself for years how to smile as evenly as possible, how to get my eyes to squint the same. And I was always so terrified of people judging me for this. And in fact, I have to always get Botox in one side of my jaw because otherwise I have a mound of flesh like this that shoves my face that way. And so, it's learning to embrace the fact that you're not perfect. You have a smile that's crooked. You have a tooth that's twisted. Love it. Embrace it. Because that is what makes you, you. If we were all perfect, how boring would this world be? I know we hear that, but I want you to really think about that. Asymmetry is wonderful. So my personal statement and belief as I move forward in my life, because we're ever evolving, there is no finish line. We're never like, oh, I overcame my trials. Okay, I'm gonna live my life now. No. We learn and we continue and we grow. And where I am now is I will never have the perfect body that society has told me I should have, or I should buy their magazines or their products or anything like that. But I will become my most perfect, imperfect self. And I can control that, and I can love that and embrace that. We don't need to conform. We need to become. Finishing up. Your future state of Wabi Sabi, which is accepting imperfection. You will never be perfect. That is beautiful. That is right. Being imperfect should not shift you to complacency, but rather a full investigation of your imperfections. So this is a tough thing because we do have a self-love movement going on, and I love it with all of my heart, but we should be taking care of our bodies. It is a vehicle, it is a gift, it is incredible when you harness its capabilities, one meal, one workout, and one day at a time. Right now, or by the time you leave here, I'd like you to put an alarm in your phone for Sunday evenings. And I want it to say, set your goals. 4 areas that work amazing wonders in people's lives when they set one specific goal every week is here. One goal for nutrition. For example, I will not eat carbs after 8 p.m. Fitness. Don't say, I'm gonna go to the gym. Nope, not specific enough. I will push very hard in the final reps of every set I do. I will push hard in the final 5 minutes of every cardio session I do. Mindset. I will have positive thoughts, not good enough. I will say 3 I am statements in the morning when I wake up. And finally, spiritual. Whatever that is for you, some of my clients in their accountability forms each week put something like, I will look at the stars. And other people say more of like a biblical study or something like that. But I do find when we involve the spirit with our body, and I believe we're going to hear more about that tonight, we can see far more change. And next, on your bathroom mirror, dry erase markers are incredible. I've talked a little bit about starting to reprogram your mind Because I'll tell you what, I don't care what perfect diet or fitness plan you have, until you start thinking differently about yourself, it's irrelevant. I'd rather never write someone a meal plan or teach them about nutrition until they start saying, I am worth it. And each of you are worth it. You are, no matter what you've been through, no matter how you feel about yourself, however many failures you've had in the past, it's irrelevant. Let it go. Today is a new day. You've got to wipe the slate clean. Every day you wake up, past is gone. Past is gone, past is gone. We learn from it and we start today fresh. Every day. Because when you let your past determine who you are, you've given up. Because you know what? We all have stuff in our past that's like, oh, didn't go so good there, right? So starting fresh. Ask yourself, what are you intentionally doing every day to fuel your body? Are you eating vegetables? Are you trying to eat some good fats like avocado, raw nuts, coconut oil? And finally, embrace your imperfections while embracing your health. So if that comes down to looking at yourself in the mirror, and I'll direct this to the women because this is what I hear the most from clients, and for those of you who've had children, and those stretch marks, you embrace them. And you embrace what your children have done to your body. I don't have kids, I don't have that experience yet. But you know how bad I want to? Embrace what you've been able to do. And love yourself for that. What an incredible sacrifice. That's not to say give up on yourself, not at all. But embrace those imperfections. Look yourself in the eyes tonight, tomorrow, whenever it is. When was the last time you looked into your eyeballs? It's hard, it's weird. And tell yourself thank you. And tell yourself that it's time to become the master of yourself. Thank you.